Welcome to the Frontier Security Brief. I'm Matt Zacharias. I'm a Marine veteran, intelligence professional, researcher, and founder of the Frontier Security Brief, a platform focused on helping people better understand the risks, disruptions, and security challenges shaping our world today. And before we get started, let me make something clear. This podcast is not about fear, it's not about sensationalism, and it's definitely not about politics. It's about awareness. It's about preparedness, and it's about helping leaders, professionals, families, and communities think more clearly about the world around them. For most people, national security feels distant. It sounds like something that only matters in Washington, D.C., inside intelligence agencies, military headquarters, or corporate boardrooms. But the reality is, national security affects everyday life far more than most people realize. It affects the price of groceries and gas, energy reliability, cybersecurity, supply chains, artificial intelligence, public trust, critical infrastructure, border security, biotech, mis- and disinformation, and economic resilience. And increasingly, the lines between global events and local consequences are disappearing. That is why I created the Frontier Security Brief. Over the last several years, I've had the opportunity to work across military, intelligence, policy, and research environments. I started as an enlisted infantry Marine where I learned firsthand the importance of tactical leadership, discipline, and operating in uncertain environments. Later, I became an officer, and I turned my focus toward intelligence, research, and strategic analysis, studying issues like strategic competition, emerging technology, influence operations, infrastructure risk, and geopolitical instability. I've also worked in environments where long-term planning and decision-making helped shape the future of the military and the country, where leaders are constantly trying to answer difficult questions like what risks are emerging? What are we missing? How do we prepare before crisis happens instead of reacting afterward? And throughout those experiences, I noticed something important. There's often a disconnect between the national security conversation happening at the highest levels and the conversations happening in communities across America. A lot of people feel like these issues are either too complex, too political, or too far removed from everyday life to matter to them. But they do matter. And I believe there's value in building a bridge between experts, practitioners, researchers, policymakers, and the public. And that is why I created this podcast. So what exactly is the Frontier Security Brief? At its core, this is a platform focused on strategic awareness. Each month, the show will generally feature two types of episodes. The first format will be long-form conversations and interviews with professionals working across national security, intelligence, policy, tech, emergency management, academia, and the people operating on the front lines of emerging challenges. The goal is not just to interview people. The goal is to have meaningful conversations that help people uncover useful insights, things that help people understand the signals buried beneath all of the noise. We want to understand how these individuals see the world. What risks keep them up at night? What trends are they watching? And what lessons everyday leaders, people like you and I, can learn from their experience. Some episodes may focus heavily on geopolitics and strategic competition. Others may focus on AI, cyber, infrastructure resilience, influence operations, supply chains, or emerging technologies. But the common theme will always be this: how do we better understand the evolving security environment around us? The second type of episode will be shorter and part of a recurring series called The Brief. These episodes will probably run somewhere between 10 and 30 minutes, purposely bite-sized, designed for your daily commute or lunch break. We'll focus on major trends, developments, risks, and observations shaping the current environment. Think of it almost as a monthly strategic situational awareness update. It's not breaking news. It's not partisan commentary, not doom scrolling headlines. Instead, the goal is to step back and ask, what actually matters right now? What trends deserve my attention? How are global events beginning to affect local communities, businesses, and institutions? And what should leaders be thinking about before these issues ever arrive at our doorstep? One thing I want to emphasize from the beginning is that this podcast is intended to be practical and grounded. There are already plenty of platforms built entirely around outrage, panic, and constant crisis narratives. That's not what this is. The Frontier Security Brief is intended to encourage thoughtful discussion, strategic thinking, and informed awareness. Sometimes that means discussing uncomfortable realities, but it also means focusing on resilience, innovation, and solutions. Because while the world is becoming more complex, it's also creating new opportunities for people and organizations that are willing to think ahead. I also think this matters because we are entering a period where technology and security are becoming inseparable from daily life. Artificial intelligence alone is going to transform economies, labor markets, information environments, education, governance, and warfare faster than most are prepared for. At the same time, we're seeing growing geopolitical competition between major powers, increasing pressure on critical infrastructure, cyber threats, and rapidly evolving information environments. These aren't isolated incidents anymore. They overlap, and understanding those intersections is going to become increasingly important for leaders at every level, not just in government, but in business, education, healthcare, agriculture, energy, and in our local communities. So if you're listening to this podcast, whether you came from a military or government background, the intelligence community, academia, tech, business, or you're simply someone trying to better understand the world around you, welcome. I appreciate you being here at the very beginning. We're just getting started, always evolving, and honestly, part of the mission is to build a community of people who care about these conversations and want to be part of the solution. If this is you, please follow the podcast, share it with your friends, and join the mission by helping us get the word out. You can also check out Frontier Security Brief online and explore additional articles and analysis through the briefing room. Thanks again for listening. I'm Matt Zacharias, and this has been the Frontier Security Brief.